1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, left, right, left. Oh, really?
Turn that down.
Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. William M. Smith, Princeton, New Jersey, World War II, Navy. Virgil F. Rabumani, Escondido, California, World War II, Army. Francis J. Mattioli, Jr., Dennis, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. William S. Titus, Hopkinton, Massachusetts, World War II, Korea, Army, and Air Force. Morris Hirsch, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Adeline R. Jones, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. James F. Stockwell, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Robert H. Perkins, Jr., Southborough, Massachusetts, Korea, Army. Ronald C. Nelson, Millbury, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Joseph A. De Napoli, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Navy. Richard H. Bowen, Oxford, Massachusetts, Korean Army. Samuel P. Penn, Coarden, Concord, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Thomas Minucci, Northborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army.
Thank you, Colonel Jack. Sergeant at Arms, take charge of the troops. Thank you very much.
World War I, U.S. Army. First Lieutenant Charles Choate, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Francis Choate, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Joseph Choate, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Charles Choate, U.S. Army. First Lieutenant Nathaniel Choate, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Harry Burnett, World War I, U.S. Army. Major Robert Choate, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Henry Kidder, World War I, U.S. Army. Colonel Peter McCann, World War I, U.S. Army. Captain Joseph Burnett Choate, World War II, U.S. Army. Master Sergeant William Pesolano, World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps. Brigadier General Peter Burnett, World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps. Chief Warrant Officer Benjamin Van Meter, World War II, U.S. Army. Captain Joseph Heath, World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps. Alexander Whitman, U.S. Navy. Charles Burnett, World War II Navy. George Kidder, World War II Navy. George Peabody Gardner, World War II Navy.
Sergeant at Arms, take charge of the troops.
Order. That concludes the ceremony at the Burnett Park Cemetery. Fallout will reassemble at the Revolutionary War Cemetery on the other side of the town hall. Thank you. And I'd like to welcome the Southborough Company of Men of Militia, commanded by Southborough resident Bob Elliott, who will fire all 3 volleys at this cemetery. At this time, I'd ask Army Chaplain Colonel Robert Saldani to lead us in prayer. Colonel.
Thank you, John. On this occasion of Memorial Day 2014, in the Southborough Revolutionary War Cemetery, I will recite the prayer that General George Washington sent to the then 13 state governors in 1783. Please bow your heads. I now make it my earnest prayer that God would hold you in the state over which you preside in his holy protection, that he would incline the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of dedication and commitment to our country, to entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another, for the fellow citizens of the United States at large, and particularly for brethren who have served the field. And finally, that he would most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to exhibit the charity, humility, and temper of mind which were the characteristics of the divine author of all. Today we thank the parent of the human race, the Lord of all, that he has favored the American people with opportunities to form a government for the security of our union and the advancement of our happiness, and has spread his divine blessings on the people of this country. Amen.
Thank you very much. This time I will read the Revolutionary War roll call. The following are the names of those Southborough men who made the supreme sacrifice during the Revolutionary War. Private Jesse Ramsden, Joseph Fay, and Captain Joseph Fay. Sergeant at Arms, take charge of the troops.
Company order, fire! Victory! Present! Fire! Right hand, load! Company, victory! Present! Fire! Right hand, load! Company, make ready. Present. Fire. Holy over, fire. Present. Arm.
again, welcome to our Memorial Day observances, and welcome to Southborough's All Wars Monument. Again, our veterans and townspeople have assembled to honor and remember our dead. I just asked our veterans that are not among our ranks to come and join us on these benches. So I know I see a few veterans out there that are welcome to join us, but suit yourself. Again, I want to thank the veterans who have notched this parade route. It gets just a shade more difficult every year to march up the Route 85 hill. But we owe you a great deal of gratitude, not only for your service, but for being here today. I'd like to thank members of our Board of Selectmen for joining us today. A special thanks to our state representative, Carolyn Dykema, who joins us each year. We thank the Algonquin Regional Band and the Trotter Middle School Band for joining us. And in a minute, we will hear the Algonquin Camerata Singers who will be singing for us in a few minutes. Again, we thank all the scouts who have marched with us today. I'd also like to ask you to join me in a special thanks to Lisa Braccio, Debbie Wilson, and Dorianne Jasinski over here to my right for organizing the Packages to Troop Drive earlier this month, and for doing the Packages to Troop Drive for the past 10 years. They have organized this endeavor and sent over 9,000 packages and 200,000 pounds of different types of goods and material to our troops overseas. And we know the troops, being a former troop, they know how much they appreciate it. So please join me in a nice round of applause. Again, I'd like to thank the Southborough Company of Men of Militia, commanded by Bob Elliott. And we owe another special thanks to Bonnie and Peter Faniff for the continued care of this magnificent monument and its surrounding area. And also to Peter Faniff and his son for putting the flags on the flagpoles this year. All these things don't just happen. There are people that chip in and make them happen. And I drive by here fairly frequently because I live just down the street. And I see Bonnie and Peter Faniff taking care of the flowers that makes it look beautiful. And not every town can say that they have a town center that is as nice as ours. And this is the hallmark of this town center. At this time, I would like to introduce Southborough native Julie Cedrone, Associate Pastor of Pilgrim Church, for a prayer.
Will you join me in prayer? Dear God, on this Memorial Day, let us call on what is most holy and healing, and pause to remember and be grateful. Hear our prayers as we honor those who have surrendered to service, sacrificed their lives for this country, led by a belief so profound. Hear our prayers as we consider the lives of those soldiers, their last days in places far, far from home, acknowledging their families and their friends, the orphans of war, the complexities of loss. Hear our prayers for those who have risked everything for justice, who have sacrificed everything for a different future. May the lives of these soldiers not be forgotten or overlooked or dismissed, but uplifted. Hear our prayers as we pray for our nation to be a vehicle of peace, and may we each find ways to bring stability and healing to a world in conflict. God, comfort us in our grief, inspire us to service, help us remember. Guide us through conflict, teach each of us as individuals, and also as a united community dedicated to improve this precious world. Amen.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would ask Southborough native and veteran John Manuzzi to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, for you citizens, please remove your hats and place your right hand over your hat for the Pledge of Allegiance. And later on, for the national anthem, for the troops, present arms.
Right shoulder, arms. Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Thank you, John.
Order, arms.
I'd like to introduce Board of Selectmen member and veteran Paul Semino for a few words. Paul's a veteran, an Army captain.
Thank you, Colonel Wilson. As usual, you've led an impressive slate of exercises today, as you do every year. I especially want to thank the citizens of town surrounding the All Wars Monument right now. By your presence here today, you exemplify what is a very excellent part of a very excellent town, and I appreciate that. A couple quick thoughts about Memorial Day. We lost one of our own very recently. John Manuzzi, who just recited the Pledge of Allegiance. His brother Thomas was buried in the Rural Cemetery just 10 days ago. And of all days, obviously, it's appropriate to remember Thomas. Thomas and John and Raymond, who will later recite in Flanders Field, are 3 of 7 Manuzzi brothers who grew up in Southborough along with 2 sisters. And the 9 of them grew up together on Grove Street in Fayetteville. All 7 Manuzzi brothers served our country in the military, which is pretty remarkable. And it's appropriate that we think especially about Thomas, who left us, as I say, just 10 days ago, and is buried in the rural cemetery down the street. Thank you. One of the things, in addition to who we remember on Memorial Day, that I think is important is also the what of why we remember them. Their service, whether it's military, whether it's civilian, young, old, men, women, is extremely important. We honor those who are not 4-star generals, they're not Medal of Honor winners, but their service is triumphant nevertheless. And it represents, I think, the soul of what it means to be a community, like all of us here today. And without which that kind of service, we don't have the community that we have, or the nation that we have, frankly. So when we remember that service and think about what we ourselves can do to honor that legacy beyond our thoughts and our memory and our prayers, and what we ourselves do in order to honor that through our own service. And that's a little bit of a tough concept to grasp sometimes, personally. But it needn't be anything extraordinary, as I say. If we can do that, we honor the legacy of folks like Tom Manuzzi through our own actions as well as our thoughts, I think we bring out the best of what Memorial Day is about. So I thank you all for coming again and for your kind attention. Colonel Wilson.
Thank you again, Paul. Now I'd like to ask our state representative, Carol Dykema, to say a few words. I'd also like to thank Representative Dykema for working with the veterans throughout the year on the Veterans Affairs Committee at the State House. Representative.
Thank you, Colonel. And good morning. It's always wonderful to be part of this ceremony here in Southborough, and I want to echo some comments that were made earlier to Colonel Wilson, as well as all the others who made this day happen and made it possible for the public to come out and really remember and recognize this very important day. I want to specifically recognize our veterans who are here today. of all generations, as well as those who are currently serving in our military, as well as all military families or those who have been touched by military service who are here with us today. It's with deep respect and gratitude that we're here to observe Memorial Day on the first Monday in May. We're here to remember and bring honor to those who across American history have said yes when asked to defend our country and the liberties that each of us and our families are appreciating and enjoying here on this beautiful Monday. In fact, more than 1 million Americans of all ages have made the ultimate sacrifice in America's wars and in our defense. And before the current conflicts are over, sadly, we are likely to lose more. Some left spouses and children. They all left families. And for the veterans who are here today, we know that many of you also lost military brothers and sisters, memories which fade with time but never entirely go away, I'm sure. It's often said that stories are our best connection to our history, and so I wanted to share a story with you here today that is very meaningful to me personally on Memorial Day, and it's the story of Paul Monty, who's a father from here in Massachusetts, from Raynham, who lost his son Jared Monty in Afghanistan in 2006. Jared received the Medal of Honor posthumously, and he was killed in battle while attempting to save a friend of his who was injured on the battlefield. Many of you may have heard about Paul Monty's story because his son owned a truck, and there was a song written called I Drive Your Truck, which is about Paul Monty driving his son's truck, which is left exactly as his son left it when he went away to service, and it still has all of the old soda cans and everything in the back seat, and his father drives around in his truck in order to connect and remember his son. And it's a heartbreaking story, which thankfully was memorialized for all of us by this song. But I had the chance to hear Paul Monty speak this past winter at a Fallen Heroes Memorial Dinner where veterans of current conflicts are looking to raise money for a permanent memorial to their fellow soldiers who have died in conflict. And Mr. Monty told the story of the loss of his son, which is now about 8 years ago, and you could tell that the story was painfully fresh, even that many years later, and that he was still very much grieving. And for all of us in the room that night, whether we had lost someone to the war or not, Memorial Day became a very personal day for each one of us. And as I stand here today, a mother with my own children who may be asked someday to serve their country, I think of Paul Monty and his family. And today I stand here with all of you and for him and all those who have lost family members in wars across the generations. There are stories like this from around the country, each touching a family in a tragic way, yet most significant is that each family is also so proud of the sacrifice that their son, daughter, mother, or father gave in defending our country. They did their duty in a very real sense. And we as Americans also have a duty to remember and to give thanks, to grieve with those families, to thank them, to recognize the significance of their contribution to our freedom and our liberty. Again, it's the reason we will come here year after year, because we will never and can never forget. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you very much. This year marks the 96th anniversary of the end of World War I. The United States suffered 37,000 killed in action and total deaths of 57,500. Many of these soldiers' bodies never came home and are buried in lone graves in such places as Flanders Field in Belgium. During World War I, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae wrote a poem noting the crosses and stars marking the burial places of hundreds of soldiers killed in action in the battlefields of northern France and western Belgium. These were soldiers who went to war and never came back. Raymond Manuzzi, a veteran, a Southborough native, will recite Colonel McCrae's poem. As Selectman Semino mentioned, Mr. Manuzzi is one of 7 brothers, all of whom served in the military. Sergeant Manuzzi.
Flanders Field's poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, to mark our place. And in the sky the larks still bravely sing, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. And now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with our foe. To you from fallen hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Thank you, Sergeant Manuzzi. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Algonquin Regional High School Camerata Singers to sing patriotic songs. Ladies. I'd also like to ask you to join me just for a moment of silence and think of those soldiers, sailors, Marines and airmen, Coast Guard currently fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. On the wall behind me are the names of Southborough natives who served during World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Here in the center of the wall are the names of those natives of Southborough who made the supreme sacrifice for our country in World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Leo L. Bagley, Flight Officer Charles H. Davis, Corporal Harold E. Fay, Corporal Raymond O. Gould, Staff Sergeant Henry Kaler, Sergeant Frank Harris, F. Hunt, Joseph P. Janiak, Sergeant John G. McNeil, Second Lieutenant Robert L. Renault, Henry G. Stevens, Henry Very, Robert R. Foley, Jr. We now honor these fallen comrades. Detail, attention. Sergeant at Arms, take charge of the troops.
Reset. Huh.
please remain and present arms for the national anthem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes today's ceremonies. There's ice cream at the community house for the first 120 people that get there. So thank you very, very much for attending. We appreciate it. We appreciate the bands.